Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. So for those of you guys who are new, or just kind of a reintroduction, today is a Monday, which means I do Bible studies on Mondays. And on Fridays, it was Thursdays, but on Fridays I now do just kind of random videos. Like last Friday, 2 days ago, I did a kind of an unboxing, unveiling of showing you guys my new Bible bag and all the stuff I put into it. On top of it, last Friday, I also gave you 2 additional videos that I was not really planning on doing. I finally posted the Jesus March video, and then I posted the Write a Prologue or Write With Me video as well. Now, those 2, like I said, they were not expected. They've been sitting for a little bit, waiting to be spliced into one long video, and I didn't have enough room on my phone. I finally made room, and I was able to get them downloaded and then uploaded onto YouTube. So those are you guys' bonus videos. But going forward, like I said, I have all of this month's videos planned out and ready for you guys to watch. Now, however, if you guys have been following my channel for a little bit, you guys know that I tend to post a event calendar on my Instagram account, which tells you every single video I'm posting for that month. But because we're already in this month, I'm not going to do it for this month. I will continue. I'll do the event calendar starting again next month. You guys will just be surprised as to what videos I'm doing for the rest of this month. But like I said, I will let you guys know Fridays what videos I'm doing for the next week. So this coming Friday, I'll let you guys know what I'm doing for next week. Okay? So today we're going into Genesis 31, and then like I said, this coming Friday we are introducing you to the cats and the dog and kind of giving you guys their backstory and how they came to be part of our little family. I wanted to do something kind of light and introducing you guys the cats, considering they're everywhere in this house. Like one's right there, one was right there. There's one over there behind the camera. They're kind of everywhere. The dog's right on the floor behind the camera as well. So I will introduce you to them this coming Friday. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into Genesis 31. It is kind of a long one. There are 55 verses. So what I'm going to do, I really don't want to read, but I guess I'm going to have to, considering all my other videos, I've read the chapter and then went over the notes. Let me make sure there's no reflections on this chapter at all. Okay, there is not, so good. Alright, so I guess I'm just going to go ahead and dive into reading it first, and then we'll go ahead and go over the notes of what I've kind of taken, and kind of give you guys a review of what this chapter is really supposed to mean. So now the chapter is Jacob fleeing from Laban. Alright, so now just a reminder as well, okay, I'm reading from the ESV version. If you guys are reading from the King James version, King James, NIV, etc., your guys' little translations might be slightly different. Alright, so starting from verse 1. So it says, Now Jacob heard that the sons of Laban were saying, Jacob has taken all that was our father's, and from what our father's he has gained all his wealth. And Jacob saw that Laban did not regard him with favor as before. Then the Lord said to Jacob, Return to the land of your fathers and to your kindred, and I will be with you. So Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah into the field where his flocks was, and said to them, I see that your father does not regard me with favor as he did before, but the God of my father has been with me. You know that I have served your father with all my strength. Your father has cheated me and changed my wages 10 times. But God did not permit him to harm me. If he said, the spotted shall be your wages, then all the flock bore spotted. And if he said, the striped shall be your wages, then all the flock bore striped. Thus God has taken away the livestock of your father and given them to me. In the breeding season of the flock, I lifted up my eyes and saw in a dream that the goats that mated with the flock were striped, spotted, and molted. Then the angel of God said to me in a dream, Jacob. And I said, Here I am. And he said, Lift up your eyes and see. All the goats that mate with the flock are striped, spotted, and molted. For I have seen that all that Laban is doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar and made a vow to me. Now arise, go out from this land, and return to the land of your kindred. Then Rachel and Leah answered and said to him, Is there any portion of our inheritance left to us in our father's house? Are we not regarded by him as foreigners? For he has sold us and has indeed devoured our money. All the wealth that God has taken away from our father belongs to us and to our children. Now then, whatever God has said to you, do. Verse 17. So Jacob arose and set his son and his wives on camels. He drove away all his livestock and all his property that he had gained, the livestock in his possession that he acquired in Padam Aram, to go to the land of Canaan to his father Isaac. Laban had gone to shear his sheep, and Rachel stole her father's household gods. And Jacob tricked Laban the Aramean by not telling him that he intended to flee. He fled with all that he had, and rose and crossed the Euphrates, and set his face toward the hill country of Gilead. Verse 22. When it was told Laban on the third day that Jacob had fled, he took his kinsmen with him and pursued him for 7 days, and followed close after him into the hill country of Gilead. But God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream by night and said to him, Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad. And Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tents in the hill country, and Laban with his kinsmen pitched tents in the hill country of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, What have you done that you have tricked me and driven away my daughters like captives of the sword? Why did you flee secretly and trick me and did not tell me, so that I might have sent you away with mirth and songs, with tambourine and lyre? And why did you not permit me to kiss my sons and my daughters farewell? Now you have done foolishly. It is in my power to do you harm, but the God of your father spoke to me last night, saying, Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad. And now you have gone away because you long greatly for your father's house. So why did you steal my gods? Jacob answered and said to Laban, Because I was afraid, for I thought that you would take your daughters from me by force. Anyone with whom you find your gods shall not live. In the presence of our kinsmen, point out what I have that is yours and take it. Now Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them. Verse 33. So Laban went into Jacob's tent, into Leah's tent, and into the tent of the 2 female servants, but he did not find them. And he went out of Leah's tent and entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the household gods and put them in the camel's saddle and sat on them. Laban felt all about the tent, but did not find them. And she said to her father, Let not my lord be angry that I cannot arise before you, for the weight of the woman is upon me. So he searched, but did not find the household gods. Then Jacob became angry and berated Laban. Jacob said to Laban, What is my offense? What is my sin that you have hotly pursued me? For you have felt through all my goods. What have you found of all your household goods? Set it here before my kinsmen and your kinsmen, that they may decide between us two. These 20 years I have been with you. Your ewes and your female goats have not miscarried, and I have not eaten the rams of your flocks. What was torn by wild beasts I did not bring to you. I bore the loss of it myself. From the hand you required it, whether stolen by day or night, or stolen by night, there I was. By day the heat consumed me, and by the night the cold by night, and my sheep fled from my eyes. These 20 years I have been in your house. I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters, and 6 years for your flock. And you have changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had not been on my side, surely now you would have sent me away empty-handed. God saw my affliction and the labor of my hands, and rebuked you last night. Thank you. 43. Then Laban answered and said to Jacob, the daughters are my daughters, the children are my children, the flocks are my flocks, and all that you see is mine. But what can I do this day for these my daughters, or for their children whom they have borne? Come now, let us make a covenant, you and I. Let it be a witness between you and me. So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar, and Jacob said to his kinsmen, gather stones. And he took stones and made a heap, and they ate there by the heap. Laban called it Jagir. I'm not even going to try pronouncing that. Okay, I can't even say it. But Jacob called it Galeed. That's much easier. Laban said, this heap is a witness between you and me today. Therefore he named it Galeed and Mizpah. For he said, the Lord watch between you and me when we are out of one another's sight. If you oppress my daughters, or if you take my wives if you take wives besides my daughters, although no one is with us, see, God is witness between you and me. Verse 51. Then Laban said to Jacob, see this heap and the pillar, which I have set between you and me. This heap is a witness, the pillar is a witness, that I will not pass over this heap to you, and you will not pass over this heap and this pillar to me, to do harm. The God of Abraham, the God of Noah, the God of their father, judge between us. So Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac, and Jacob offered a sacrifice in the hill country, and called his kinsmen to eat bread. They ate bread and spent the night in the hill country. Early in the morning, Laban rose and kissed his grandchildren and his daughters and blessed them. Then Laban departed and returned home. That's a lot of reading. Okay, so obviously we kind of got the general idea of what's going on here. It is literally Jacob fleeing from Laban, his father-in-law, his relative. He's fleeing his home, running away, and Laban is catching up to him, demanding answers, and then them setting a covenant between each other and going out. My kid just giving me his toys again. Anyways, so that's kind of the general gist of this. They make a covenant that they will not part over this pillar and into one another's territory and do one another harm. Okay, that is the general gist of this entire chapter. But now, here we go into like the little gritty details of it. Okay, so here we have Jacob. He had heard that the sons of Laban, they were saying Jacob's taken all that our fathers, and from that our fathers, and all he's gained as well. Okay, so their envy literally is what's poisoning Laban's aspects, basically his heart, his mind against Jacob. Okay, and this is just kind of what they're saying. So it wasn't that he took anything. Okay, he didn't take anything, his wealth or anything from that belonged to Laban, but that his wealth was increased because of Laban's wealth. Okay, and that's what I think they're kind of not connecting the dots on that. Okay, so Jacob then saw that Laban did not regard him as favored before, and then God had told him say, hey, return to the land of your fathers and your kindred, and I'll be with you. So he's basically preparing him, or he has been preparing him since chapter 30 and 25 here, when it says, as soon as Rachel had born Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, send me away that I may go to my own home and country. So for a while now, he's been preparing to already go home and return to where he kind of came from. Okay, but now God is literally calling him, telling him, hey, it is time to go. You need to leave. Okay, and then the whole with you, that is extremely important aspect of that, because the fact is that he's literally saying, hey, time for you to leave, and I'm going to be with you the entire time. Okay, so at this point, then he calls his two wives, the two sisters, Rachel and Leah, and he's basically telling them everything that's going on. Like, literally, he's just flat out, he's laying it all on the table for them to know what is going on, that he's going to be leaving, what his father's done, that his father has changed his wages 10 times, that he did not have the same favor in his eyes as he used to. And here he says, you know that I have served with your father with all my strength, yet the father has cheated me and changed my wages 10 times, but God did not permit him to harm me. So this whole entire time, God has been with him, and he even said that. But the God of my father has been with me. He's been protecting him, which is why he hasn't been able to do Jacob any harm. And then he says, everything about him changed wages 10 times. And Jacob believes that Laban had cheated him, and his wives knew it as well. And here's when he says, you know that. Okay, so he goes into like the details of the spotted and everything, all that kind of details. And then he says, then the angel of God said to me. So here we have the blessing of the blessed, procedure, a production of sheep and goats described in 37. This whole the goat issue thing was in some way revealed to Jacob in a dream. Okay. And he says, Jacob said, here I am, lift up your eyes and see, all the goats are striped and spotted and molted, and for I have seen all that Laban is doing to you. And then he says, I'm the God of Bethel. Okay. So the first place where he first encountered the Lord is why he's saying, I am the God of Bethel. Okay. Where you anointed a pillar and made a vow to me. So the first place where he actually really encountered God. Now arise and go out of this land. So God told Jacob to return to the land of his family. Okay. Alright, so the one other thing I wanted to add into verse 13 right here, it says, well, I'm God of Bethel, were you anointed. Okay, it says, this was Jacob's way of returning to his first love and his first works, as will be later described in Revelations 2, 4 through 8. So, that's real quick. Just jump to, as long as I'm not destroying everything. Revelation real quick. Alright, so here it says in 2. Okay. Verse 2 it says here. It says, but I have this against you, that you have abandoned the love you had at first. Remember, therefore, from where you have fallen, repent, and do the works you did at first. If not, I will come to you and remove your lampstand from its place, unless you repent. Yet this you have, you hate the works of the Nicolaitans, I don't know, which I also hate. But he who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To the one who conquers, I will grant to eat the tree of life, which is in the paradise of God. So that whole entire thing here is a reference to Revelation there. Okay. Okay, it's well, not reference, but it's like a description towards it. Okay, he's literally returning to his first love, his first works, his the place where he first encountered God at. Okay. And then Rachel and Leah are given the chance to respond to what he's saying. He says, "Is there any portion or inheritance left to us in our Father's house? Are we not regarded as by foreigners as him, or by him? For he has sold us and has indeed devoured our money." Okay, so Rachel and Leah are noting that their father already used their inheritance, and they're perfectly happy to leave. Okay, their father they're regarded as foreigners by their father. He, in a sense, kind of sold them to Jacob by making Jacob work 7 years each for them. So I guess in a sense, they kind of were sold to him. And he has devoured any money that they have. So they're perfectly content with leaving, which is why they said, now whatever God has said to you, do. So this support from them is extremely important, because I don't think Jacob would have been able to just up and leave if he didn't have their support. Okay. So Jacob arose, set his sons, wives, and camels.
Mom.
Children. So he drove away all his livestock, all his property that he gained, the livestock and his possession required to go to the land of Canaan, his father. Okay. So he was wealthy enough to put all of them on camels, and he left real quick. Okay, after being given like the green light, the go ahead, he left almost immediately. Okay, so God got him ready and promised him safe passage. But in a sense, I guess he kind of did trick Laban by not telling him that he was intending on leaving. I guess perspective on how you want to see it. On my perspective, he didn't trick him, because he just kind of up and left. He just didn't say anything. Okay, but according to Laban, he tricked him. Okay, so at the point Laban goes to shear sheep, and he notices that someone has stole his household gods, which Rachel did it. Okay, now household gods, they're considered idols. Okay, they're listed as an. As for why Rachel did it, I don't know. There's no real reason as to why she did it. Maybe she had a grudge against him. Maybe she's mad at him. She just wanted to do it out of spite. That I mean, personally, if I was her shoes, I would have done that. At least that's the reason why I would have done it. Let's see. Okay, so once Laban found out that he had fled and he took his wives with him along with his kids, he got kind of really mad and he started to chase after Jacob. Okay, so he fled with all he had across the Euphrates, and he set his face towards the hill country of Gilead. So he was about 300 miles already from Haran. Okay, and Jacob had some distance between them, because on the third day is when Laban really noticed that Jacob, his wives, and all of their kids were gone. Okay, and at that point he took his kinsmen with him and pursued him for 7 days and followed close after him into the hill country of Gilead. Okay, so first off, right here it says here, but God came to Laban in a dream by night and said to him, "Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad." So obviously God knew exactly what was going on in Laban's heart, which means he had to have some kind of evil intentions. Okay, and at that point he eventually overtakes him, and they have a confrontation about what's going on. Okay, and he's here. It says, "Why did you flee secretly?" So, and at this point, he's trying to make Jacob feel guilty for fleeing without telling him. Okay, and at this point, Jacob wasn't really far from the Jordan River and the Promised Land. Okay, it says, why did you not permit me to kiss my sons? and my daughters farewell. Okay, at this point he's meaning like his grandkids, his daughters, his grandkids, not actual sons. He's meaning grandsons, like his grandkids. But the God, right here it says, now you have done foolishly. It is in my power to do you harm. So he is, in a sense, kind of threatens Jacob with harm. Not that he actually said he was going to, he just said he could. It is in my power. He can do harm to him. But the God of your father spoke to me last night, saying, be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad, which in a sense he kind of already did. He spoke to him. And here he's asking, he's like, but why did you steal my gods? And now this is an accusatory question, not asking like, hey, did you steal my gods? Hey, do you know where my household gods are? No, he's asking, he's flat out accusing him, saying, why did you steal my gods? Okay, and at this point, Jacob's saying, hey, he was afraid that Laban would not allow him to take his wives and kids with him, or that they would try and take him away from him. And at the point, the very end of it, he answers his accusatory question with this. Okay? Anyone with whom you find your God shall not live. In the presence of our kinsmen, point out what I have that is yours and take it. And at this point, like I said, he did not know that Rachel had taken the household gods. So in a sense, he just basically put a harsh curse on his own wife, not knowing that she's the one who took those, the household gods. So at this point, he goes from house to house, or tent to tent, checking through their stuff, trying to figure out where his household gods are. He went into Leah's tent, he went to the two servants' tent, and then he went into Rachel's tent. Okay, now Rachel had said, let not my Lord be angry that I cannot arise for you, that the way the woman is on. Okay, she's literally saying that she's on her period. Okay, she is on her period right now, and she really does not want to get up. Now, for those of you ladies out there who know what it's like to be on a period, you guys can kind of understand like why someone might not want to get up for that. I don't think they have tampons or pads during those days, especially tampons. That's kind of like, I think that's a newer generation kind of thing. I don't think they really have tampons. No. So either way, the point is she was on her period. She was probably not feeling the best. That would be an excuse if she actually was on her period, but she was just using that as an excuse. So then Jacob became angry and berated Laban. Probably not just because of this, but because it was like probably built up anger from all 20 years he worked for Laban. And he is like, what is my offense? What is my sin that you have hotly pursued me? So he is really trying to figure out what his trespass was, why Laban has such a grudge against him. Okay, you went through all my goods. He had literally searched through all his stuff, and then he starts pointing out everything from all the back, their history, pointing out. I have these 20 years I've been with you. You always have your goats have not miscarried. He has not eaten any of the rams. He did not bring any. What was torn by wild beasts weren't brought to him. He started pointing out all this stuff to him. Now, ancient times or ancient customs was as brave enough to not let wolves devour flocks, which is why he said, "What was torn by wild beasts, I did not bring to you." Okay, he bore the loss himself. There was day, but heat consumed me. Then the cold by night. And my sleep fled my eyes. I have served you 14 years for each of your daughters, 6 years for your flock, and he has changed his wages 10 times. And at this point, like he said, as I mentioned before, all of this pent up anger and frustration is just all coming out, and you can kind of tell by the way he's just kind of tossing everything out at Laban. Okay, so this is extremely unfairness from Laban. Yeah. Okay, so here he goes on to saying, if the God of my father, the God of Abraham, the fear of Isaac had been on my side, surely now you would have sent me away empty-handed, which luckily God was on his side. Okay, God saw my affliction and labor of my hand and rebuked you last night. So this kept Laban from taking what was his, or what Laban thought was his. And then Laban gave him an answer, said, hey, the daughters are my daughters, the children are my children, the flocks are my flocks, and all that you see is mine. Okay, so now he's basically claiming that everything is his, but he acts like generosity to give it all to him, which is what he says here. But what can I do this day for these my daughters, or for their children whom they have borne? So he's literally saying, hey, all of these are mine, but I'm going to be nice and let you have it. I'm going to give it to you. Okay, so come now, let's make a covenant, you and I. And he's trying to make a covenant between the two of them. See here. Let it be a witness between you and I, and between you. Come the nativity, let it be a witness between you and me. Okay, so at this point, he's suspicious of Jacob, and he uses God to keep him in check. And see here it says, gather stones. Laban called it this really complicated name. And now Galeed means heap of witness. That really complicated name, that Jegarshadutha word means that means heap of witness. That one means heap of witness. Mizpath means watch post, and Galeed also means heap of witness, but it is a shorter version of it. Okay. So yeah, it says, the Lord watch between you and me when we are out of one another's sight. So he's literally trying to use God to kind of keep him in check at this point. Kind of like I mentioned earlier before, he's suspicious of Jacob, but using Jacob's God, our God, to kind of keep him in check. Okay, if you oppress my daughters, or if you take wives besides my daughters, although no one is with us, see, God is witness between you and me. Again, like I said, using God as a witness between the two of them, kind of trying to keep him in check. Okay, and then we have the best solution was to really separate one another. Okay, and the pillar was set between them, and at this point, they would not be seeing one another again. And it says here, you will not pass over this heap and this pillar to me to do harm. So this is the best solution, since there's a lot of pent-up anger for one another. They really just don't, they're butting heads. Laban has an issue with him for whatever reason it is. The best solution is to just separate, go their own ways, never see each other again. And if you do cross over into one another's territory, you can't do one another harm. Okay? And Jacob offered a sacrifice in the hill country and called his kinsmen to eat bread. They ate bread and spent the night in the hill country. And then early in the morning, Laban rose and kissed his grandchildren and his daughters and blessed them. And then Laban departed and returned home, never to see them again. So yeah, this is a whole bunch of drama mess here, like so complicated. But yeah, that's pretty much everything goes on. At least the next chapters actually start kind of getting a little more downplayed drama, because the next one we have where Jacob fears Esau, and then Jacob meets Esau in the next chapter. After that, I just finished unfortunately, the bad chapter with Delilah. I really did not like that chapter very much. But, so yeah, that's going on to this. I do want to point out, Rachel, lay down, please. Lay down. My dog is up doing something. I did want to kind of point out a new color coding, a Bible color coding guide that I have for my Bible, because next week I'm going to be doing Matthew next week. I think I'm going to be doing Matthew, I did 6 right there. No, I'm going to be doing Matthew 7 next week, so I'm going to give you guys just a little bit of heads up. Matthew 7 has a lot of, what do you want to call it, color in it, I think. Let me take a look real quick. I'm pretty sure it has a lot of color in it. And I do want to kind of point out some of what these colors are going to mean, because I'm going to change up how I'm doing my Bible study next week. I want the camera pointed, that's 6. There's 7. So yes, I do have quite a bit of color in 7 with a lot of notes. And I believe they're all based on this new color guide. So I have that new tripod I have underneath. I'm going to break it out, and I'm going to have the camera pointed down on my Bible, and I want you guys to see what I'm kind of looking at. Because what I want to start doing is that when I have my Bible, when I have the camera pointed down at the Bible, I cannot talk today. I want to be able to point out what some of these mean in the future. So hey, like in 7 right here, I'm just going to point a random one. It's green, okay? So it will mean either salvation or witnessing, Christian growth, discipleship, or location. So when I'm having the camera point down the camera, and I'm pointing things out in the notes, I'll be pointing out, like, say, hey, that's what this means. It's referring to this. So I kind of just want to be able to have you guys know what these color guides actually means. So I have purple, yellow, orange, green, blue, black, pink, and red. Okay, those are all my colors there. And I am using color pencils. Okay, I'm not using highlighters. I'm not using markers or anything. I'm using color pencils because it's a lot lighter. It's not really damaging to the Bible, and it's a little easier. So purple is referring to God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, pictures of God, like actual images of Him, and God's sovereignty. Yellow is referring to love, marriage, family or parenting, friendship, relationships. Orange is referring to faith, grace, miracles, underlining repeated, main, or connected words. And then, of course, I just mentioned green is salvation, witnessing, Christian growth, discipleship, location. Blue is notes, underlining in general, time, numbers, people. Black, obviously, is kind of referring to the bad stuff. So sin, evil, Satan, temptation, sin's consequences, death. Pink is referring to special promises, favorite verses, women. And then red is referring to commands or warnings. So when it comes to next week, when I do Matthew, camera's me pointing down at the Bible. I will show you guys what I'm doing, and I will start pointing out these color coding to you guys. Okay, that way you guys can see how I'm color coding it, how I am justifying that color to that verse, and then maybe you guys can use it in your guys' Bible studying as well, and maybe you guys can start learning how to pinpoint what certain things are, like what verses are breaking down into these kind of categories. Like, I will give you one example right now. I just did this one today. So here I have in Matthew 8, where it says, Matthew 20. It says, and Jesus said to him, foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. So I highlighted that in purple because it is referring to Jesus. Okay, it is literally referring to saying, hey, Jesus doesn't have a place to lay down his head. He has no place of his own. Okay, and yet the birds have the air, they have nests, the foxes have holes, but Jesus has nowhere to actually lay his head at. Okay, so he is basically using that as a reflection to himself. So I kind of how I justified it being highlighted in purple. And that is how I'm going to go into the next future studies as well. For like even when I go into Genesis or the Old Testament, I will be using this color coding guide, and I will post a picture of this on, or I think there already is a picture of this on my Instagram account. So if you're not following my Instagram account, go take a look at it, because this will be on there. I will have a blank copy of it as well, in case you guys want to screenshot it or somehow print it out. And then I have another one that's completely blank. It doesn't even have anything in it, so you can fill out like these little words here instead. You can change how you want to do your color coding. If you want black to mean something different, you can put whatever you want black to mean. You can put purple whatever you want it to mean. So I will have that on my Instagram account for you to take a look at. That way you can get it yourself. So, all right. So that is all I have for today. Go ahead, hit the like button, share button, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell button so you get notifications for future videos. And keep in mind that I do have another video coming up this Friday, where I'll be introducing to you guys the cats and the dog and giving you guys their backstory and how they came into this little messed up family. So, alright, you guys have a great week, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.